Hello Stampers, I'm back. Hopefully you're out there too. Our internet here is just horrible, and sometimes it connects and sometimes it doesn't. So hopefully you're gonna see that the live feed starts back up and you'll join me again. I'm gonna wait just a few minutes to see if I can get people will come back in. Welcome. I can't see who's on, but I can see somebody is on. I'm sorry, my other feed was bad. Our internet froze up and wasn't letting me go live at all. So, hi Patricia. Thanks for coming back. Our internet, as I said in the beginning, is kind of hit or miss here, and it seems like sometimes when I log on, it freezes me up in the beginning, and then it doesn't let me keep posting. So I'll start all over. Thank you for joining me today. If you have visited my Facebook Live demonstration before, I'd like to welcome you back. And if you have never visited before, thank you for stopping by. Today I'm going to be using Winter Woods, which is a new stamp set in the holiday catalog from Stampin' Up. And when I first saw this stamp set, my mind thought of all of the fun winter cards that I could create and how snowy they would be, and it just reminded me of a walk through a snow-filled path in the wintertime and kind of quiet, peaceful. But then I started stamping with it, and a couple different things came out that weren't so Christmassy, so I decided to go with that. So one thing that I want to say is, on this card, I use buffalo check in the back. So if you purchase $30 or more in merchandise from me during the live presentation, and if you use my host code, I will send you the make and take kits for these projects for free. Per Stampin' Up rules, I cannot send any stamped images, so I wouldn't be able to send this to you. So I did substitute this back, the buffalo check, with a piece of the wood paper, the wood grain paper. So it's still beautiful. This was just something I was testing out with the buffalo check, so you'll get to see what the other one looks like as well. So let me get myself set up here, and here's the hostess code for this week, and we'll create this card first. And let me get these other ones out of the way. All right, the first thing that we're going to need is a piece of Whisper White cardstock cut at 8.5 by 5.5, and we score it at 4 1/4. We also need a piece of gray granite cut to 5 by 3 3/4. We need a piece of Whisper White cut to 4 3/4 by 3.5. Another piece of Whisper White cut to 1 inch by 3.5. And then we just need a scrap to stamp the Christmas tree of Whisper White. And then we need a piece of the, I want to call it Dazzle Glimmer, but it might be called something else. It's in the catalog, the annual catalog. It's a brand new color this year. And that is cut to 4 3/4 by 1.5. And so we do have a little bit of stamping to do. So, and a little bit of cutting to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to stamp, and I'm going to do it on the back of this because I forgot to bring a piece of scrap paper. And I'm going to grab that stamp really quickly. We're going to do some stamping with the birch trees. And gray granite ink. And so all we're gonna do, this is the birch tree. I'm gonna ink that up with gray granite. And we're just going to stamp all along this edge here. And it doesn't matter that it's not all the way down to this end because we're going to be putting the glimmer paper over it anyway, so it won't matter. And then we're going to set that aside, and then the next stamp we need is the Christmas tree, and we're going to stamp that on this piece of scrap white. Perfect. And we're all done with that ink. I think while we're stamping, let's stamp our greeting as well. And we will need a banner cut out of the end of this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that banner so that I know where to stamp. And for that, we're going to use cherry cobbler. And I'm hoping to get this straight. Ooh, upside down. Good thing we have the back. That's always what the back is for. I tell my stampers that all the time. There we go. And we're done with the stamping. So I'll turn that back over up there. And then we need to get the Big Shot and cut that Christmas tree out real quickly. And we also need to cut our little snowbank. So let's get the Big Shot. And we're gonna cut the tree out first. And this framelit is one that comes in the bundle. And we're just going to run that through. And then we also need to use this piece here. This is what's going to kind of give us our snowbank. And so we're going to take this piece of the glimmer paper, and I just put it up to the top real close so it'll cut off the top edge. And I think this piece would be great for any kind of card. I'm going to use it for some of my snowman cards and some of the other ones that I think a snowbank would be great for. And I'm also going to keep this piece because I think it would be good to add, you know, an edge to another little dimension of that. You could put those up with dimensionals and then it just looks like one more snowbank. So I am going to save that piece too. Okay, I think we're ready to start assembling. So we'll take our card base and fold that in half. And then this piece that we stamped can go right onto the front of the gray granite. And I'm going to make sure that this edge is down so it'll be covered by the snowbank anyways. Then I'm going to take the snowbank part and I'm going to just attach that right at the bottom. Then I need to grab a dimensional, which I forgot. Give me just 1 second. And I'm going to add, well, actually, I will. On the original card, I did not put the tree on with dimensionals, but I thought I did. And then when I went to get them, I realized I didn't. So let's put it on with dimensionals anyways, because I like dimensionals and they just pop everything up. So there's that. And then we're just going to tuck this back in behind. So I'm going to cut just a little bit of that off. And I'll tuck it in behind. And then we can attach this to our card base. I want to make sure it's right side up. Have you ever made a card and then you realized that it opened from the top instead of the bottom, or you went to put something on the inside and it was backwards? I did that one time, and thankfully it was for a craft show that I was doing, and I realized before I put in the envelope to sell it that it was backwards. That would have been so embarrassing, but it happens. So now we're going to put some of these little red rhinestones on our card, just random. Hi Carol, I see that you just joined us. Thanks for stopping by. We got off to a little bumpy start today, but I think we're doing well now. Okay, so there's our first card. Very Christmassy, kind of traditional. I think it's very beautiful. I like the glimmer, and I'm thinking of lots of other ways that we can use this stamp set. So I'm going to put this one aside and give you the host code again, and I'll get card number 2. And this card was actually shared with me by my upline. I sometimes forget to think of doing something a little simpler, and I really like this because you can make it with a lot of different colors, and I think that it would be very beautiful. And you can use it for, you could use it for sympathy, for a birthday, for a get well, for so many different occasions. So I did change it up a little bit from hers, but I think that it's beautiful either way. So we're going to start with a piece of seafoam, soft seafoam, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. We need a piece of soft suede cut at 4 by 5 1/4. We need a piece of Whisper White cut at 3 3/4 by 5. So we can go ahead and fold this piece in half, and then we're going to go ahead and attach the soft suede. This is one of my favorite browns, my go-to brown. The espresso is nice, it's a little bit dark. This one just reminds me of trees and a true brown, so this is my go-to. Now we need to do a little bit of stamping on this one, so let me get that, the ink and everything, and I'll be right with you. Okay, in order to make this part in the middle, I wanted to show you. So I'm going to grab my Big Shot real quick. And all I did was take a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to use a framelit. And I'm going to kind of center it in there because I want it to be a good distance around, so when I put it on my cardstock, I kind of know that it's centered. Whoops, and I put my Big Shot backwards. I'm going to run this through. So now I have a template for a circle. And so I'm going to, sometimes too, I will use a little pencil. I forgot to bring a pencil, so I'm going to kind of use my finger to, this might not be exactly centered, but it will be close. We're going to set that there. Now I'm going to get my soft seafoam ink pad, and I have a sponge dauber. I'm going to grab a little bit of the ink, just daub it in there. Now you have to hold this really tight because if it moves around at all, you'll end up with ink outside of the circle. You kind of want to start off and go in and just kind of turn in circles and get the ink on there. And just be sure to hold it really super tight. You could tape all the layers down if you wanted to with some washi tape, if that would make you feel more comfortable with keeping it all lined in there. And don't worry that it looks a little bit splotchy, because once you get your other stamping over it, it's going to be fine. Okay, so we're all done with that part. Now we'll remove this, and then we're going to ink up with soft suede. We're going to ink up our tree image. Let me grab that real quick. And I'm just going to bring the ink pad right to that. Ink it up real well. And then just stamp right in the middle of those trees. And there you go. Now we want to put our greeting down here. And so I'm going to use the soft suede again. And this greeting, I'm using Let's Celebrate Your Day. And that comes from this stamp set, Bunch of Blossoms. It has a lot of nice greetings. Grateful for a friend like you. You matter. Let's celebrate your day. Thank you very much. And today is the perfect day to be happy. I think it's just a really neutral stamp set. So we're going to do Let's Celebrate Your Day. And then we need a little bit of linen thread. We're going to just wrap it around the middle of the card here. So I'm going to leave a little tail so I can tie a bow. I'll leave it a little longer. I'm going to wrap it around and cut it off. And then just cut the tails off just a little till it looks good to you. Oops, there we go. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add this little corrugated element here. It just adds a little bit. You could add a button or something else. I just liked the corrugated element because it kind of goes along with the brown theme. So that's what I'm going to put on. I'm going to put one of those on with a glue dot. I think I'm going to bring this down just a touch. I'll stick that up underneath there, and now we can attach this to our card base. And again, make sure that your card opens the correct way. And put it on there, and then that card is all done. I think I can think of a lot of really good color combinations. I tend to be a blue person, so I would go to blues. Maybe even some fall colors would look really great on the back, like maybe one of the yellows, crushed curry or something in the back. And next I'm going to show you some fall trees, so you could even do this same concept with that. So we'll set this one aside. And again, I'll bring back the host code, and I'm going to get the third project out for us. This one is a little more detailed, but it's fun nonetheless. And I think you're gonna love it. Okay. I need to clean my stamp off real quick from the last time we used it, because we're going to be using the tree again with different colors this time, so I want to make sure and get it all inked off of here. Okay, so I'm going to start with showing you what we need to start with for the card, and that is, this time I cut the cardstock a little differently. I cut it 11 by 4 1/4, and I scored it at 5 1/2. This is the wood texture paper that I was telling you I was replacing the other paper with, and it comes in the catalog in 6 by 6, and it has, I'll take it out for you to see. It has a lot of different, some dark grains. This one is just all the ends of wood, has lighter grains, some darker ones. There's this one, of course, on the back. There are some different ones. There's a very, very light one. So lots of different ones. So that's what I'm going to be making the card with today. So that's our top layer. We also need a piece of old olive cut at 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. We need a piece of cherry cobbler cut to 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. And then we need a piece of very vanilla cut at 3 by 4. We also need 2 little strips. This is a piece of the gold foil cut at 1/2 inch by 4 inches, and then a piece of vanilla, very vanilla, cut at 1/2 inch by 4 inches. Then the last thing we need, I know there are a lot of pieces, but trust me, it's gonna go together very easily. In the framelits, there's this little leaf accent cobbler, 2 with gold foil, and I cut out 1 with pumpkin pie. You could change that up to match the different backgrounds or the inks or whatever you wanted to do. So I'm going to set that aside for just a minute, because the other thing that's in this card that I did have a tip of the week, and I don't know if you saw it, but you can color your rhinestones any color that you want with our Stampin' Blends markers. Anything that's alcohol based, you'll be able to do it because it dries very quickly. If you try to do it with, this is the Stampin' Right marker, it is not alcohol based, and it will take too long to dry and it will smear on your paper. But if you use the alcohol based markers, it will dry very quickly. So we're just going to color 3 of our rhinestones, and I'm coloring them with dark old olive. And they do dry very quickly, but I don't want to take a chance that some of the ink from around the paper, so you can see they're very beautiful and they're going to be very sparkly. So we'll just set those aside to dry for right now until we get the rest of our card together. So I think the first thing I want to do is put my paper down, the background paper. So we'll do that. And then, whoops, I forgot to fold my card in half. That's okay. All right, and now I think that we will go ahead and do our stamping. So you need the big tree, and you're going to stamp with your lightest color first. In this case, I'm using Mango Melody, but again, you could use a yellow. Crushed Curry would be very nice. You can use any color you want. So I'm going to ink that up all over the whole stamp. And I knew I was going to forget this, but what you need to do next is remove the ink from here. So right now, I'm just going to use my finger. My mom's on here and she's probably thinking, didn't I teach you better than that? All right, so then we're going to take pumpkin pie and we're going to take a sponge dauber and just daub. And then we're going to kind of just randomly sponge on around the tree. As you can imagine, that leaves would be all different colors on your tree. And then the next color I'm using is Cajun Craze. And this is a much darker color, so I kind of want to be a little careful with how much I put on there. I think Cherry Cobbler would be pretty on there too. So that's probably enough, because you still want some of the lighter color to show through. Then I'm going to use my Stampin' Up marker, and I'm just going to draw the tree trunks back on, because those always stay the same color. And I'm going to hold it down on my paper for just a minute to make sure all the ink transfers. And there you go, a nice fall color tree. So the next thing we need to do, we can go ahead and let's attach this piece to our Cherry Cobbler. Now normally when you're doing layers, you leave a 1/4 inch from one to the next, and I only left 1/8 of an inch. So there's not going to be much showing around this. So just make sure and get it in your center. And then I'm going to attach this piece to my old olive. And then we'll set that aside for just a minute. Now if you remember our card over here, this stamp set, the greeting in here, it's the only greeting, says, "Thinking of you this season." I wanted to still use this, but I wanted to make it not Christmas. So I'm going to show you how to use just the "Thinking of you." You need to get a marker, and this is my Stampin' Up marker in soft suede. I'm just going to ink up the "Thinking of you." Make sure don't get any around it anywhere, otherwise it will get onto your piece of paper. Then I'm going to stamp it. I got to bring it off camera or I'm going to end up getting it crooked. I may get it crooked anyways. There we go. So all I did was inked it up with the Stampin' Up marker, just ran my marker over the brush edge, and then I just stamped it like usual. But the rest of this didn't ink up because I didn't put ink on it. So now it's a "Thinking of you" card. And then the next thing I want to do, I just wanted a little accent. So I decided that I would add this little gold accent. So I think what I'm going to do is add a little bit of adhesive just on this edge, just briefly, to get it lined up here. And you can have as much out as you want or as little. I kind of like the sparkle of it and how it brings out the leaves. I got mine off just a little bit, but let's see if I can fix it. Okay, and then this piece is just going to go right down here at the very bottom, so we can go ahead and attach that. Okay, now let's attach those 3 rhinestones that we colored. We're just going to pull them off with the piercing tool. I like to start with the one in the center. And if they're crooked a little, you sometimes can just push them over a little bit. The glue will let you push them over a little bit. So that'll have to fix a little bit later when I can see it more head on. So now the next piece is your card's going to open this way, which is a little non-traditional. We want to make sure that we have room for our leaves and everything. So I'm going to put the linen thread on first. And again, I'm going to leave a little tail because I want to tie a bow up there. And I forgot to ask, and I'll do it while I'm tying this. I saw that a couple people did, but if you would share this video, that helps me to reach more people in the stamping world. I would appreciate that so greatly if you just hit the share button and that brings more people to my channel and lets more people see my videos, I would greatly appreciate that. And thank you to those who already did. I can see a couple of you did, so thank you. So now I have my bow. And I'm just going to scooch it over to the side a little bit. And now this, my card keeps getting open. We want to make sure that our leaves, when we put them on there, are not going to go over the edge. So how I did that was, I'm going to start on this side, put a little bit of adhesive, and then also some adhesive down here. I'm going to take a gold, I'm going to kind of make one go down and one go up and one in the middle. And you can kind of play with it a little bit and see how you want it. And so I just kind of grabbed them in the middle, and you may need to put some more adhesive, but I'm going to test that and see how, because you got to leave some room over in this corner too. So it looks like my gold one is out just a little too much. So I'm going to pull that back in just a little. Then it looks like I need a little more adhesive on here for my cherry cobbler one. And I'm going to kind of point that down just to get a little more leaves showing. So then I'm going to put that on there. Yep, I like the way that looks. So now I have these two. So I can put adhesive on the rest of my card. And you want to get some adhesive over those other leaves too. Oops. My leaf tried to rip off of there. Okay, now this is how I got it. So I very carefully just laid it on there, but I didn't attach this right bottom corner. Now I can still carefully lift this up and place the cherry cobbler one under there, and the gold one. Whoops, I don't want it to look that way. And so they're peeking out. I got mine just a little bit crooked. There we go. That's much better. Now the last thing that I would do is, because we couldn't get any adhesive under these leaves, I would take a little bit of Tombow adhesive and just put a little tiny dot underneath and kind of hold it. That they're stuck underneath the card front, but this will stop them from getting caught on like the edge of the card. If it goes in the envelope, then it won't catch up. It'll be adhered down. So I just put a very tiny dot, just hold them down. And I didn't glue all of them, like I probably won't glue these, just the ones that are along this card edge. So you can see, as I was telling you in the beginning, this one is on the buffalo check. This one is on the wood texture designer series paper, and I think they both look beautiful. In fact, I kind of really like this one on the wood paper a lot. So the sparkle of the gold paper just kind of brings out the fall leaves and makes it look beautiful. So these are the projects. I hope that you have enjoyed them. On Friday, I'm going to be sharing kind of a wow card with you using this same stamp set, and I think that you're really going to like it a lot. It is very fall. Where I'm from in Michigan, the leaves are already turning, and I'm looking forward to getting back there and seeing all the fall color. So again, if you would like to make a purchase this week, you can visit my store at stampitwithdebbie.stampinup.net. Use this host code here, and if you make a purchase of $30 or more, I will send you the make and take kits for these 3 cards. I would like to thank you for stopping by today. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to visit and watch my video, and I will have all the dimensions up over on my blog. Oh, I almost forgot right before we leave. Let me say real quick. Last time I had a really hard time seeing So I'm asking that people go over to my blog and leave a comment there. That way I don't miss anyone. If you leave a comment there, I can tell who has commented on the video, and then I can include you in the prize that I give away each week. Otherwise, sometimes because of the way people's Facebook settings are set, I can't tell who shared and who didn't. So this is a better way for me to include everyone and make sure that I don't miss anyone who took time to comment on it. So if you would do that, I would appreciate it so much. There was a link in the original, but it's stampitwithdebbie.blogspot.com, and just go to the bottom and leave a comment. I would appreciate that, and I'll include you in the prize drawing for next week's giveaway. And well, this week's giveaway, but next week I'll announce it. So again, thank you for taking time to stop by today. I appreciate you, and I will see you again soon. Thank you.